He's even, he's leaving. You ain't gonna get nowhere near him.
Malaki will cut up the middle. He breaks off a tackle, and he's off the races, and you can't keep up with him.
First contact was not gonna bring Malaki down.
We'll go for another handoff to Malaki, cuts in the middle. Brooks breaks off the tackle, gets some open field, and that is another Warrior touchdown.
He always had the meanest stiff arm I've ever seen. If he ever puts that stiff arm on you, I mean, you just got made into a highlight. He could almost score at will.
The handoff to him, bounces to the outside. He's got one guy to beat, he cuts to the outside, and he gets a great block by Braxton receivers, running down the sideline, stiff arms the defender. Nobody can keep up, another touchdown.
Good stop, you can only hope to contain him.
He'll go with the handoff to Malaki. He's going down the left side, cuts up the middle. He's pushing off blockers, breaking off, tackles, 3 guys to take him down. He'll go with the handoff to Malaki, cutting up the field, cutting back outside. He gets to some open field, stiff arms the line to the ground, breaks off another tackle.
He's by far number one, and I don't think nobody's ever going to get close, personally.
In a small town like Sparta, Tennessee, stardom is limited. It's not very often an individual comes through White County and has an impact on people outside of the city limits, let alone the nation. Malaki Dowell is that individual in every way. Being a natural-born athlete, Malaki has played football all his life. And from the time he stepped onto the field as a child to the time he stepped off on his final high school game, Malaki dominated the competition. But to understand Malaki, you have to understand his story from the very beginning. Malaki's connection with his Pee Wee head football coach goes way beyond just football. Michael Sloan has been an influential piece to Malaki's life every step of the way.
First impression. Oh me, I don't know. It was funny when he started out in youth. Believe it or not, he wasn't a running back. He played corner, so he was a little bit younger. I think he was about 5 years old when he started playing with us, and we had some older kids that ran the ball. But it was, I'll never forget the first time I ever realized a kid was meant to run the ball. It was the championship game. He played corner all year, and we was up pretty good. And I remember thinking, man, let's let that little Dowell boy run the ball. And he broke around the corner. He didn't score a touchdown like normally he does, but he broke around the corner, run about 50 or 60 yards. And I remember looking at Coach JJ, going, man, that kid's fast, ain't he? And they're like, yeah. And from that point on, he was been my running back ever since, So.
Coach Sloan was even there when Malaki got to high school, starting out as the offensive line coach for the first 2 years of Dowell's high school career. Sloan then moved up to the offensive coordinator role for Malaki's junior and senior years, which were uncoincidentally his most successful years of football. The chemistry between the two can be credited to a large portion of success for the Sparta football program.
Everyone sees Malaki and they think of the football player he is, and they don't realize the human being that he is. Man, he's the most humble kid that, as far as like talented, most kids that are as talented as him have got an arrogance about them, and he don't have that. He's super humble about it. He's very respectful. He's kind. To this day, he always messages Christy, my wife, on Mother's Day and birthdays and all that. And what kid does that? What kid thinks to do that? He was I think 60 something yards from being from 2000, and it was on senior night. And he was a junior, and Javen Stroll was a senior, which was our other running back, who was a pretty good running back too. And Malaki come over and said, man, I'd like to see Stroll score a touchdown on senior night. And I looked at him and said, Malaki, you're like 65 yards from 2,000. So I'd really like for you to get 2,000 yards, He said, okay. So I put him in, and he broke, I don't know, a 70, 80-yard run. And he got it to 2-yard line and slid and went down so Javen could come in and score a touchdown on his senior night. That, to me, says a lot about a kid, Who breaks a long touchdown and don't go in the end zone, or a big run? Not very many kids would do that. So, to me, that shows what kind of character he had. Malaki always, he stayed with me a lot when he was a kid, and was here with us a lot. He always told me he wanted to play in the NFL. And I told him from a very young age, I said, well, if you want to play in the NFL, I'll push you to help you get it. And so I knew real early he had the talent to go somewhere, and I used to tell him before every game, all the way through youth, all the way to high school, I'd tell him before every game, so you're the best player on the field. And then I started adding in high school that if they didn't know you before, they're going to know you after tonight, and that's what he did. If you didn't know who Malaki Dowell was before the ball game, you definitely knew who he was after the ball game.
Dowell's coming out party began against Sparta's bitter crosstown rival, the Cookeville Cavaliers. In only his third start in his illustrious high school career, Dowell ran all over the Cavs for 297 yards as a sophomore. The game ended in favor of the Cavaliers as Sparta's comeback fell just short. In Dowell's junior year, however, Sparta got revenge. After not beating Cookeville since 2013, Malaki and the Warriors rolled over their rival 41-13. Dowell was able to top his performance from the previous year as he ran for over 320 yards on the ground.
I think whenever, you have a competition with somebody and it's more personal, you play them every year, there's always, people talking back and forth. The schools are so close to each other, it goes a little deeper, Malaki's a competitor. He don't like losing. You start talking to him, as humble as he is, he gonna show it in his play, and he sure did. Like I said, just something deeper when you play your rival. Chant overrated. They did, overrated about 3-4 times. They got through it one play that I think is the next play. He broke it open. It's 50+ yard, might have been 70, 80 yarder. Just wide open, solid over there. And honestly, probably from there, that's when he never looked back.
Malaki's sophomore year attracted the attention of many football fans and coaches all across the Upper Cumberland. But unfortunately, his season was cut short due to a torn ACL that forced him to miss the remainder of the season.
Oh, it broke my heart, man. It broke my heart to see a kid. Anytime a kid gets hurt, it's just, you don't like it. Nobody likes it, and it makes you worried. And the ACL, it sucked, and I hated it for him, but I knew him being his junior year, he would come back from it because the kid worked so hard. I think that's what sets him above other kids is when other kids want to take an off season, he never had an off season. He worked and worked and worked, and after his injury, he worked and worked and worked till he come back, and he was better. He was way better.
After numerous rehab sessions and time spent healing, Malaki took the field as a junior and picked up right where he left off. Finishing with over 2,000 yards rushing as a junior in just 9 games, Dowell was primed to be one of the top running back prospects in the state as a senior. Dowell's senior year would go on to become the single greatest offensive performance in Sparta football history. Dowell set records at White County that may never be touched. In his senior season, he accounted for 3,201 yards rushing and 40 rushing touchdowns, the second most in TSSAA history. At one point during the season, Malaki led the entire country in rushing yards. And once again, Dowell made life hard for the Cookeville Cavaliers his senior year. He ran for 472 yards on the ground as Sparta took down their rival for the second year in a row, this time in Cookeville's backyard.
Watch him have the year he had as a junior, especially from White County. That was just stuff that wasn't seen in White County. He can't get much better, right? So that injury happened. He probably ain't gonna be what he was. He proved people wrong that junior year, so you can't doubt him at all. So was it shocking that he was as good as he was? Not really, but you're talking about what Malaki did. He's up there, breaking Tennessee records, and like I say, he's coming from White County, small town school, and it just he's up there to talk with Jalen Hurd's records. When I got to watch him rehab from his injury and come back, he hit it hard every day. There wasn't nothing going to slow him down. Whatever he wanted to get done, he was going to get it done.
You didn't have to really push him a whole lot because he wanted to be good. His goals were to not just be good in high school. He wanted to go play college ball. He wants to go to the NFL. So, as far as calling, it's been a luxury to be an OC, to have a kid like Malaki when hey man, it's 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, and everyone's like, throw the ball, and I'm like, no, we're going to hand it to 6. He's going to get us 8, 9 yards because that's just who he was. I don't want to say pushed him because I didn't have to push him. He kind of was self-motivated. So, but as far as calling plays, it made life easy knowing when you had that type of kid back there in the back to hand the ball to. So, it made my job easier.
Dowell had numerous D1 offers coming out of high school, but because of his size, Power 5 offers were limited. He ultimately decided to commit to Austin Peay State University and still plays for the Governors to this day. Malaki Dowell will forever leave a legacy in Sparta athletics, and because of this, the school decided to retire his number 6 jersey. Malaki will be remembered for not only his exceptional athletic ability on the football field, but also his ability to be a great teammate and just overall a great young man that White County is extremely proud of.
One thing about Malaki, he was never a vocal leader. He wasn't your hoorah guy, and he didn't need to be. He's always in the gym doing extra work. When he's not in the gym doing extra, he's somewhere doing extra work. When you see that example and you see somebody that good, and he was able to humble himself the way he did, that's the example you want to follow. And like I said, he had every way in the world he could just been, I'm that guy. And, he never was, and he never said anything bad about nobody. Whatever teammate, just whatever. I mean, he's the guy that, you want to be around him.
Man, he brought excitement to town. He brought it, and that's the thing with any sports. You go from when we took over, they had a 27-game losing streak. People wasn't coming. You start winning a few games, and people start getting a little bit excited, and then they start going, well, man, they really got a kid that's pretty good. And they realize, man, he ain't just pretty good, he's stinking special, And the impact he's had on kids around here, I promise you, I don't know, but I swear Malaki Dowell walked in and an NFL football player walked in. Kids will swap from Sparta, would go to Malaki. Like, he's a legend here with these little kids. They absolutely love him, man. And rightfully so. Man, he brought football back to Sparta. I feel like his class and a couple classes after me, he brought back to where not only, he's winning game, but it's starting to become expected. Like, Sparta should win football games now. And he had a big part of that, man. He's what we call as coaches a generational talent. You don't get very many of them. And he just brought enjoyment. I mean, who wouldn't want to come to a high school football game and that a kid, every time he touches the ball, could run a 90-yard touchdown? If you're a football fan, and especially an offensive guy, there's nothing more exciting, Defensive guys, like our defensive guys, like, man, y'all scoring too fast. I can't help the kid just broke 80 yards. What do you want me to do, And it makes it hard. It made it hard on our defense, but good night. You handed him the ball 5 times, and the 4th or 5th time, that kid was gone, And it made it where people could get into it and enjoy watching it, So, he's been a big impact around here.
Where does Malaki rank in terms of all-time Sparta football players?
Well, for me, for what I know of Sparta and what I've been here in Sparta, he's number 1 by far. As far as, impacting Sparta football and being the best player. I'm biased. Offensive, most explosive player, who else is there?
He'll go with the handle to Malaki, goes to the right side, cuts out to the outside, stiff arms the defender to the ground, and he will walk into the end zone for another touchdown. Same formation, go with the handle to Malaki, going to the same spot, he cuts up the field, gets some good big top blocks. Rob Buffalo throwing a kid on that play, running down the sideline, nobody can keep up. That's another touchdown for your Warriors.